Running it for Selko. Here's Mbappe! Oh my word! Teenage kicks! The ultimate teenage kick! The boy with the world at his feet! Kylian Mbappe! There ain't no stopping him now! The first teenage World Cup Final goal since Pele himself!
Yeah, you heard it right. First teenage World Cup final goal since Pele. And if the story can't get any better, Kylian Mbappe donated his full earnings and winning bonus from the World Cup, a total of $550,000, to a charity that gives sports instructions to hospitalized and disabled children in the game. This is 12 Yards Out. I'm Robert Bellardi alongside Devon and Nelson Santo. And to begin this podcast episode, we're going to touch on, for just roughly 5 minutes, of a story that came to Toronto today. DeMar DeRozan from our basketball team of the Toronto Raptors was traded to the San Antonio Spurs. Him, alongside Jakob Poeltl and a protected first-round pick for Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green. Guys, big story. I know we cover soccer, but it leaves us. We have to touch on this one.
I love it. I love the move by the Raptors. I mean, it's usually the more aggressive owners usually come out on top, and the more aggressive teams usually are the ones that benefit. And you're losing an all-star for a potential MVP candidate, and that's okay in my books.
I think a lot of people are just upset because he's so loyal to the city, and we've never seen that, especially with the history that we have of just big-time players like Vince Carter and leaving.
Yeah, always leaving the city.
And I understand why people are upset, but come on, man, Kawhi's way better than DeRozan. He's more complete.
Yeah. Like, we look at DeRozan, and don't get me wrong, we love him. I mean, the city loves him.
Sure.
Everything that he's done, he's put the city on the map along with him and Lowry. He gave us belief in a system within a conference that, hey, maybe we can actually go to the playoffs and actually go far. Brought us to our first ever conference final as a franchise. But with DeRozan came this inconsistency in the playoffs that I think the Raptors weren't looking for anymore. We got swept against Cleveland. I say we. The Toronto Raptors got swept.
A much weaker Cleveland in comparison to the other teams that they faced too, right?
And DeRozan was ejected in Game 4, and everything seemed to capitulate for the Raptors. And he did it as if it was impenitently. He just pulled off a technical foul, and he walked off the court like nothing happened. And, I mean, that's from what we see, probably what we don't know. I mean, there's other things that are going on in his mind. But aside from that, a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year comes to our team. Or the
Finals
city's
MVP,
team.
Finals champion.
Yep.
So it's a lot to give up. Obviously, most likely, just going to be for a 1-year rental. But, I mean, you got to go for it, right? Fans have been clamoring for a change of scenery, change of players, because it feels like Lowry and DeRozan took us as far as they could, So kudos to them for taking us to the conference finals. We love that. We love what they gave the city, and especially DeRozan. He's been here since he got drafted. And it's hard to say goodbye to a player that's so loyal and everything, has done so much and could be considered one of the best Raptors of all time. But you need to change the scenery. And to the fans that have been saying that for past maybe this offseason or maybe 2 years now, and now are complaining that DeRozan leaves, like, what more? What do you want from management? What do you want from Masai?
In a LeBron-less East, that he moves over to the West. You need a player that's going to step up in the playoffs and provide something for you.
Yeah,
Remember the series against the Golden State Warriors when San Antonio were playing and Kawhi Leonard ended up going off injured and the Warriors really ran the floor with them?
Yeah, a couple years ago,
Leonard made a massive difference, giving Durant so many problems because that's how good he is. Look, him and Danny Green have been two of the best defensive players in the NBA for the past few years. Green has gone more unnoticed than Leonard. I mean, you can argue Leonard is one of the best wing defenders in the NBA. There's so many positive things to say about Leonard and what he brings to the game and to the floor. His court vision, his offense, his defense, everything. He's a complete superstar. That's something that we can benefit from. And, he said, or the reports say, that he has no desire to play in Toronto. But Paul George roughly said the same thing going to Oklahoma City. And there was the expectation that he was only going to stay in Oklahoma City for the 1 year, move off to the Los Angeles Lakers. Hey, money talked. He got a max deal, and he's now staying in Oklahoma City. Money can talk here, and if money truly does, then we can sign, or the Toronto Raptors, can sign Kawhi Leonard to a max deal. The Los Angeles Lakers wouldn't offer that. They can't.
There's still a lot of time though, right? He could say that right now, and then he comes to the city and he can actually feel it and, you know, have a first-hand experience of what it actually like, and he can still change his mind, right? So I don't know. It's still too early to
Oklahoma
tell.
City is a much smaller market than Toronto is. Like, Toronto's a booming, growing market now, and it was clear through all of free agency so far that he wanted to play in LA. It didn't matter the Lakers or the Clippers, but it was Toronto that offered the best to the Spurs, and ultimately they have the last say in it because Kawhi is still under contract. So we'll see. I'm excited for this year now, and it's a dangerous starting five, I think. Still got a good bench players, and giving up Pirtle for the future hurts a little bit, but we still have Siakam, who's a great young big that could do damage in the future. So it's exciting times for Raptors fans. We should be excited, you know, even if it's just for a year.
Yeah, you know
we
what?
We still have the chance to make finals, and
yeah, absolutely.
that would be a successful year, I think.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. We actually have a shot at making the finals. I mean, you want a team that has DeRozan and Lowry, and the whole vision that came within this team wasn't working. Like you said, it only went so far. I mean, Raptor fans are probably going to get discouraged that that Boston and Philadelphia are making moves. Now we have something to be hopeful for. But let's get into what we know and what we love, which is soccer, the World Cup. Why we come here, and on a sunny day we're in a studio as opposed to being outside and playing the game. We're here, we talk about it, we love what we do. Let's get straight into the final. Let's not even beat around the bush. Now. Oh, I know you would, since you've been up since 3:30 in the morning.
I don't remember the last time I slept.
Poor baby.
Yeah. Poor guy. We feel so bad for you. You have no idea. Like, we're really trying to root for you here. I mean, we're trying to give you some good support within this podcast.
It's not helping. Just I need a pillow, man. I need a pillow.
So, guys, France and Croatia hit it off in the final. I mean, we haven't seen that many goals since probably the 1970 final. 4-2, good score line. Finally, a World Cup finals that has not gone to extra time for the past 3 World Cup finals that have. So that's a good thing for the sport. That, you know, it finishes in 90 minutes. It's a good game. It's entertaining. Interesting thing is both of these two teams had the most yellow cards in the tournament. France had 12, Croatia with 15. So it was a 1-2 punch of aggression. We saw it at times. Teams were both of the guys were pretty aggressive.
And FIFA wants to get rid of, or not get rid of, but they're promoting fair play. And look what happened. As you said, the two teams with the most yellow cards ended up going to the finals.
And Senegal had to go out because of that.
Yeah.
Let's get right into it. Obviously, we started off with Mbappe, and not much more can be said about this kid. Like, he's going to be a star.
Yeah, and has anyone heard the story of how Kylian Mbappe got first-team time with Monaco?
What happened?
It's actually
I know you're going to tell me. That's why I don't read it.
Okay. Well, here, I got the whole paragraph right here. Let me get the paper going. I got it all. I got the notes here.
I don't know.
So, the story that precedes Mbappe's first-team playing time began with a $2.6 billion divorce that actually occurred. It was within the Monaco team. It involved one of the stakeholders. It's to be argued that it is the largest divorce of all time. So a stakeholder named Dmitry Rybolovlev.
You're butchering
I had to
it.
stutter that. No, I'm trying to recover here. I'm putting my best foot forward here.
Completely butchered it.
He tried. That's all that matters.
Yeah, so Rybolovlev divorced his wife Elena after 24 years, worked out to be £2.6 billion. This was after Monaco went on that spending spree. Does everyone remember? They purchased Jean Moutinho, James, Falcao. They were trying to change everything about the club. They were just promoted out of League Two. They were going nuts. So after this divorce occurred, they had to sell James. They had to sell Falcao. They needed to look at what they were doing with the spending, that it couldn't be done anymore. So what did that mean? They put money to youth and to scouts, and they had to do all the things that the natural way, so to speak, with when you don't have the funds to support yourself. So that gave playing time to guys named Bernardo Silva, Thomas Lemar, and Kylian Mbappe. And Mbappe was promised playing time, even though Chelsea and Real Madrid were scouting him and wanted him. Mbappe decided to stay with Monaco, and it made him. And it could be said it made him the player he is today.
Yeah, I always love when young players stick to their roots and don't make the big move too soon, you know. And moving to PSG, it could be considered a big move, but I still don't consider PSG an upper echelon team as of yet. They still haven't proved anything in Europe as of yet. So I think staying in France was good for him, staying close to family and everything. He's still a teenager, so you don't want to make a big splash too soon. And we've seen time and time again that's happened, where young players move to a big team and they flop, and that's the end of it, right?
I think he's already one of the best, right? Because look at the World Cup he had. He's starting every match, scoring goals, and he does it consistently as well for PSG. And you know what? I agree with you. I don't think they're top team, but he will go to a top team soon.
Yeah,
I just don't
probably
think
within the next couple of years.
Yeah, I don't think PSG can hold him for much longer. But for me, he's already one of the top, and he's the next generation of the golden ball, golden shoe.
Yeah, come between him,
right?
Neymar, Hazard. Yeah,
the Ballon d'Or is going to be his for a few years, in my opinion.
Yeah, me too. I think he wins the Ballon d'Or. I think he actually stays in France for a little while. I think he wanted to stay with PSG. He made that pretty clear to Real Madrid. He was not interested in a transfer to the Spanish capital. And look, he's with a team that does have high hopes, that is in the right direction, that with good funds have brought in best players. They brought in Ibrahimovic. They brought in Cavani. They pretty much stole the Italian Serie A in its
former
entirety.
Napoli players.
Thiago Silva went there, and
Buffon just
Salvatore
went there.
Sirigu went there. Now Buffon is there. Look, there's a lot of good things to be positive about Paris Saint-Germain right now. Sure, they have their weak points like any team does, but there's a good vision. And if Mbappe wants to stay home, I mean, he's in France, he's home. Again, guys, as teenagers, do we really want to leave home? You know what I mean? Can you imagine if you're a pro footballer and you have to go to another country, speak another language, and go do that? And we can commend footballers for what they do, because they have to go to different countries all the time, adapt to a new culture, adapt to a new language, and it just looks like it's absolutely nothing to the public eye.
I think it was Jesus Navas that I was reading years ago. I think this was when he had his breakout tournament when he was playing for Sevilla back in the day. Maybe I think it was 2008 or 2010 when Spain was winning everything, and he was playing really well for them, and he was still quite an unknown at that time. And he was saying that he didn't want to make a move out of Spain because he gets very homesick. So it's a real thing. And then when he moved to Man City, you saw that he didn't make the same impact that he had in Spain. So it's a real thing, having that homesickness and just wanting to stay home and playing at home. There's a comfortability factor, and the way you play, the style of the game, and it just works for you. So why leave, right?
Yeah, and he seems very comfortable in the French national team as well. Everyone loves him. And he played exceptional throughout this entire tournament. For what he's done as a 19-year-old, you commend him for how fearless he is on the pitch and how he attacks defenders. And that's something that you expect, too, out of a 19-year-old, because you just run freely. You have the energy to do so. France, in the final, though, didn't have their best game. I think we can all agree on that. They didn't play good football. They were very lackluster at times. I mean, we can start pinpointing everything that went wrong, but the reality is that Croatia were the better team and ended up losing, and that's part of the storyline that we've been continuing to discuss all the time.
The whole World Cup, I think, was like that.
When you dominate, you lose, and that's part of the sport that is so frustrating about this game, but we love it so much.
It's a cruel game, they say. It's always been that way. Like, Croatia had more possession, but like I said last week, it's the team that has a better counter-attacking football that has won this World Cup, and saw it on almost every French goal, besides the first. I do want to get into the first goal, because the first half for France or Croatia really killed the game off for them, because two goals that were controversial really killed the game off for me. And it's disappointing to see in a World Cup final, but yeah, the last two goals were from counter-attacking football, and we saw a great finish from Pogba and then Mbappe, so to kill the game off.
I think I told you guys off air that I think they learned from their mistakes 2 years ago, and they brought that into account into this game. And they seemed a little.
Who did they play like?
Who do they play like?
Yeah, can you tell us the country?
You sure you want
Once
me to
again?
They play like Portugal. That's what I like.
Well, we can, as Italians, vouch that they play like Italy as well. Italy is always referred to counter-attacking football.
Yeah.
That's been the spine of the nation of how they've won.
No, of course. But at the end of the day, it's you want to win the game, right? Doesn't matter how you do it. And France, 2 years ago, they played one of the best games, and they just couldn't end up doing anything. And then look at this final, right? They were a little bit more reserved, would counterattack, and then of course, there were a few,
They were clinical.
controversies, but they were clinical, and that's what matters.
Yep. I mean, France were only behind for 9 minutes this entire tournament. They were only conceded the lead to Argentina, and that was it. They've known how to hold the lead, and it's incredible for, again, Deschamps. We credit him again for everything that he's done, and now he joins the lead company with Mario Zagallo and Franz Beckenbauer, player and a coach, to win the World Cup. It's amazing. And, you know, even Varane is only the 4th player to win the World Cup and the Champions League in the same season, after Christian Carambeu in 1998, France and Real Madrid, Roberto Carlos in 2002, Brazil and Real Madrid, and Sami Khedira in 2014, Germany and Real Madrid.
He's definitely grown so much as a player, and he can definitely be considered maybe top 3 defenders in the world.
Is that
a
so,
stretch?
right?
That's a bit of a stretch for me right now. Yeah, I'd say top 10. 10, I'll stretch it.
10's kind of 10's too much.
I think he's
Well,
higher
you
up.
could put it in the radius. You may say he's higher up in the 10, but I think that's a good scope to put him in. Top 3, I think, is a little bit much.
I think if you win everything that he's won, and
At his age, he's only 25, right? Usually center backs or defenders in general,
They peak
but
at,
mostly
like,
center backs.
33.
Exactly.
You also have to look at the team that he plays on. Real Madrid are completely stacked.
Of course.
They have been stacked for years.
Of course.
but that helps with his maturity, right? Him
Correct.
growing
Of
up.
course that does.
And when you're playing with the best, it gets more out of you, and then you end up being a better player.
Yeah. Okay, so I can't hold off any longer. Like, I want to talk about this
Go.
first goal because
Just go.
what happened? That's not a foul.
Yeah, that's not a foul.
The Mandzukic own goal you're talking about?
Yeah.
Own goal. I don't consider that an own goal. To me, they
Hit off the top of his head.
I know, but it was the ball was going on target, no?
It was
And,
going
and
to
if
hit.
Griezmann
Subasic
gets that goal, he joins Harry Kane for top goal scorer, right? So
But maybe without the little nick off the head, it wouldn't have gone, because it kind of changed directions a little bit.
Well, that free kick bothered
First off,
me
wasn't
in
a
this
free
game.
kick.
It wasn't a free
he
kick.
was falling already, and then there's contact.
And what bothers me even more is I got a little speech here too again that the penalty that was given. Look, by the criteria of the tournament, I guess the referee had to give it, but I'm sorry. That was not a penalty by any means. Not at all. Matuidi ducked his head. Perisic's arm was up. Perisic brought his arm down to not have it hit him because he was expecting a flick on. Look, it comes down to, look, we get it. The World Cup final is surrounded by immense emotions. Tension, criticism, however you want to call it, doesn't matter. Okay? The match had it all. But at the tip of my tongue, I'd like to reveal that upon further review of looking at that, I'm sorry, it wasn't a handball. What's the criteria of this sport? What is the criteria of making a call? Because, I'm sorry, it's not within the rule book. It's within the mind of the referee. And that's a problem. The referee went to go to VAR, look at it. He left the screen and then went back again. Why?
it took a
wasn't
long
sure.
time. It's
Why?
4.5
He wasn't
minutes.
sure.
Yeah.
He wasn't sure. If you're not sure and it's not conclusive, then don't call. You're in a World Cup
I
final.
agree with that. I agree with that point there, where if you, especially in a World Cup final, man, like in a game that close, it's 1-1 at that point.
Yeah.
Like that completely changed the
Changed it,
game,
yes,
right? And it was right
completely.
before halftime.
Yep.
So if you're not sure, then you don't make the call. I didn't even agree with him going to the VAR in the first place. Whatever the call is on the field, you leave it at that. For me, that was a penalty, though.
No, but that's the purpose of VAR, so we can
I
actually go
understand.
back.
I understand. But in a World Cup final, man, I love the way they used the VAR in this whole World Cup. I
Yeah.
love it. I think it was used almost perfectly.
Compared to the leagues that had it this year, it
Yeah.
was almost perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah,
compared to-
they used it very well within this World Cup.
But in this
and it
instance-
shows that it's in progress and it's going forward.
In Italy
very
and
well.
Portugal, there were a lot of issues with VAR.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
A lot of issues.
In this instance, though, I think it was wrong to use it in such a huge match. For me, that was a penalty. His arm was out. And it's
was
out.
close to him.
It's out. No,
But
if his
it's
arm
not directly out like he's about to clothesline the ball. The ball touched his arm, then his arm was close to
it
him.
was not close to his body, man.
I'm conflicted, and I'll tell you why. Because that's the theme of the World Cup with calls like that. They've been calling them, right?
Yeah.
There's been calls that I've said that I don't think it's a penalty, and they called it. And the only problem with me with this one is if his hand was like that the whole time, out, I'd have no problem with it. The problem I have
His arm
is
comes
his
out.
hand comes down.
Yeah.
Like it seems like he
Smacking
Because
it
he's
down.
expecting
Smacks it.
the flick by Matuidi.
But
His
why
arm
is
was
your
up.
But why? Then why is your arm
We
moving
spoke
down?
about this before. When you jump up, your arm is automatically going
Yeah,
to come
no,
up.
of course.
That's fine. He brought his arm down expecting a flick because he was afraid that Matuidi was going to flick it on. Matuidi ducked his head and then it hit him in the arm.
No, I don't know if that's it.
Look at the replay.
No,
I
looked
replay.
at it a bunch of times. My thing is, it seemed like he moved his hand on purpose to move where the ball was going, right? Because if you're expecting the flick on, it's going up.
And his arm was
right?
up.
No, his arm was at like a decent level for him jumping.
It was
right?
up.
It was like shoulder.
Yeah, it was
shoulder
by
height.
his side.
It was by his side.
Yeah.
If you're jumping, that's your normal position of jumping. Your hands are going to be by your side. The thing is, he sees the ball coming after. Come on, he knows the ball's coming, and he moves his hand down as if to like block the ball from going wherever it was going.
Even if Matuidi did flick it on, and it hits his arm, that's a penalty to me.
That I wouldn't. I would say it's not a penalty because look,
His
at
arm is in the natural position that we spoke about before.
The other plays where the player heads the ball onto the arm, those aren't penalties. Right?
Like
That's the
it's
rule
so
book.
hard to
We've
distinguish
gone over
this
this
call.
like with the other calls with the Portugal and then the other game as well, the Nigeria Argentina
one,
game,
Like
right?
it's so hard really to distinguish every call.
The rule isn't
But
clear enough. That's the problem.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say. Is the rules are actually within the mind of the official that's there, not within the rule.
It's a
book.
judgment call.
Yeah.
That's what's the problem.
But for
That
me, like,
has to improve for World Cups to come. You
as a-
can't continuously have this on the time. People
as
are
a
gonna get
defender,
tired.
like you're almost trained to defend. Like
With your
we're
hands
acting
behind
out
your
these
back.
motions, like people could see it, but like your arms are behind
your
your back
side,
or
by
by
your
your
back.
side, right by
you
your
can't
side.
do that in the air. How are you going to
But
do that in the air?
for me, he's not jumping high enough to warrant him having his arms up, which they weren't. His arm was to the side, and like Nelson said, he swings down at the ball.
I had a problem with the way he jumped though too, because he jumped with his legs sticking out, and then his hand was out as well, right?
Exactly.
Like when I'm thinking of like when we play, for example, and I jump that motion, my hands
hands don't
are
go to
gonna
the
hands
don't
side.
go to the way that he put his
Yeah.
hand in, unless I'm on purpose trying to hit the ball with my hand to block it.
Maybe
from
it's his
going to the
volleyball stance because he plays volleyball for Croatia as well.
net.
He's a star. Right?
But the other thing is too, and I don't want to be a conspiracy bug, but there's no fact behind this. But why was an Argentine ref chosen for the game? Croatia kicked the crap out of Argentina in the group stage.
France beat
You
Argentina in the knockout round.
Hey,
Yeah.
there can
I
be
don't know.
you can put the flip side of that, but I mean,
I think, other than that, and obviously the foul, like it's tough, but you're under so much pressure in a World Cup final as a ref. Not even mentioning the players, but as a ref, you're under so much pressure. It's hard to get the right calls.
Even if you do have something that you think is right, you're always gonna have somebody against it. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, we can like that conspiracy theory is obviously not with any fact. I'm just throwing that out there because, I mean, it was in the group stage and Argentina were embarrassed in that game. It really looked terrible. I mean, I'm throwing that out there because that's what soccer is, guys. We know the sport like the back of our hand. Conspiracies happen all the time. Yeah. Why was this official in this game? Why did this official make this call? We can continue to question it all the time. I'm not saying it's factual. It's just a point of conversation. I'm not targeting the referee like he did a terrible job. He actually didn't. He was pretty decent throughout the game. Yeah, you're going to make some calls. Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, there is going to be mistakes.
Yeah, you can't be perfect.
You can't be perfect. We can't ruin a guy for that. Well, who we can ruin a little bit is Croatia's goalie, because he was already going one way when Pogba shot it, and that point of direction was already covered. Mm-hmm. Why would he go that way and leave an entire side open, and then Pogba goes and scores? And the Mbappe goal, I mean, we know Mbappe scored, but it's a decent hit. But Stupicic should be trying to get down and at least trying to make an effort to save it, but he looked like he just flopped in the net and didn't even make an effort.
Do you think he's still hurt from his hamstring?
I think so, yeah.
And that caused him to do
I think so. I think he was
not
still
as
hurt.
great as...
Must be ailing a little bit. I mean...
The way he was holding his hamstring like we talked about, right?
Yeah.
I think something had to do with it because France had 8 shots the whole game, 4 were on target, all 4 of them were goals, and a 50% conversion rate.
Like the Pogba one for me was he shot it first, it came back to him, and Subasic...
It happened really quick, right? That
Subasic
Pogba one
wasn't able to react to it because he didn't see the ball.
Yeah, that's fine.
But the Mbappe was a great hit too, but it was too close in the middle.
He could have had it. You can argue that he could have had it.
Yeah, it's just harsh the way the final ended up for Croatia. The way they played this tournament, you never want to see it not come down to, but be affected by an official. And it was 2 times,
they both caused goals.
Yeah, the free kick was not a foul. I don't think in anyone's books that's a foul. But obviously, credit to Griezmann. He sold it, and he's not crying about it like Neymar. He's not rolling around.
Should we credit guys, though, that sell the call?
Yeah, it's part of the
Part
game.
of the game,
It's
right?
part of the game. They do it in every sport for me. You know, it doesn't matter how tough you are, you're going to sell a call. In hockey, they do it. NBA, they definitely do it. Definitely in the NFL as well. Wide receivers, you see them turn around like they just got shoved, but they got a little tug, and that's it. They're just trying to show the referee, hey, look, you know, my shirt's being tugged, or hey, look, you know, I got nicked on my ankle. So it happens everywhere, and it's part of sports. It's just harsh for Croatia because they did play well, and this whole tournament, it's sad for Modric because this could have like completed his legacy. I find like he's won everything, you know, and this could have made him a real case for Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, I could have given him a good shot.
I still think he is he's going to be recalled as a legend, though.
Yeah, no, for
in
sure.
In Croatian football, he is probably the best of all time.
Well, this is now the furthest they've ever made it to the World Cup, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he was, wow, man, he had a perfect World Cup, in my opinion.
Yeah, besides
the final didn't go the way they wanted it to, but it's not all on him either, right?
Yeah, Croatians might say they're a prolific striker. I think it's I'm not sure his first name, but Šuker. I don't know if you remember him. He
in '98.
Yeah, he was on the team for a while, and he was prolific for them. So I think it's between him and Modric. This really just would have capped off Modric's year and maybe his whole career, like the way, like Rob explained last week or before the final, how he's come from absolutely nothing, like barely surviving, to winning the World Cup for his nation. That would have been incredible. And the way they were welcomed home, I think, was so amazing.
I love that. And that's when you really appreciate that how much it actually means to a nation, that you bring your nation to a World Cup final and you go home and you get a celebration. Same with Belgium, too. Belgium finished third and everyone appreciated their effort within the tournament. That's what it's about. Not about going home and you feel like you're a disappointment. I mean, you can see it on Luka Modric's face when he was receiving the golden ball that he felt like maybe at the time he didn't want it.
Yeah.
And do you blame a guy?
He'll appreciate it later, though.
Yeah.
Yes. In the heat of the moment, it's very tough emotionally to consume everything and try to feel some sort of pride within complete desolation. That's just the way it works within the sport. That's
coming
what we
so
know.
close and
yet it feels so far.
Yeah.
And you're an underdog. I mean, Croatia played 4-1-4-1, the formation. France played 4-4-2. They kept it simple. They kept very simple tactics. No one played anything unorthodox 4-2-3-1s or 4-3-3s or 4-5-1 or 5-3-2, whatever it is. But Mandzukic, for me, shouldn't have been left alone. I think they could have benefited with Kramaric as maybe a front two. Mandzukic by himself, don't get me wrong, Lloris had that blunder in the second half, and Mandzukic pressured really well because he was still working hard. He still
what
believed.
he does, yeah.
And credit to him, he's one of the best strikers in the world for that.
Yeah,
and he always goes unnoticed. His work ethic is better than a lot of strikers in the world.
That's kind of what it's kept his job
names.
at Juve, right?
Yeah.
It's his work ethic. He's not going to score you 30, 20, maybe not even 20 goals, but it's his work ethic. And
he can score you 10 with maybe 7 assists, and you can still 15, have a very productive
maybe
year.
max, but you know, he's going to put in that effort that coaches love.
He fits the system there, that's why.
Yeah, hard-nosed team. Even when N'Golo Kante came out of the game, and a lot of people were surprised.
I was questioning that.
Yeah,
a little bit,
but
right?
apparently I think I read that he had a stomach virus or stomach bug or something like that. So, but credit for him for playing, 60 minutes. And then when Nzonzi came on, I think that really helped France as well, and that pushed them to get
to finish the job.
Yeah, finish
Nzonzi
3-2, 4-2.
Sevilla's marquee man since Krajkoviak left, and he's done such a great job within the club. He's done a great job within for his country.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to talk about another midfielder in this tournament, Paul Pogba really came to light in the final. He really showed
had an
us
incredible tournament, to be honest.
Not even just in the final. You're absolutely right. The tournament he had was just amazing. Does this change your opinion about a guy that's been continuously criticized for a few years?
I think we'll have to see, but I think he did a lot of growing up in this tournament. And I questioned in our very first podcast that France doesn't have a leader in this team, and that would stop them from winning. But we saw players like Varane grow up, Pogba grow up, and Conte be a real leader, and Griezmann be a leader at the up front. And so France proved a lot of people, including myself, wrong, that there are leaders in the side, even though they are young and maybe inexperienced still, but they have big game experience, obviously, in the Euro final and with their club teams. But definitely Paul Pogba grew up immensely in this tournament, and he can hopefully take that back to United.
Did you see the speech he gave at halftime against Argentina?
No.
I just saw it the other day. Basically, he was saying like he wants to play with a bunch of soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the video of just him pushing his team at halftime, and you kind of saw a different side of Pogba that we don't really see often.
Yeah.
But you know what? I always liked him. When he was at Juve, he was always a great player, and it was, I guess, hard for him at United to, you know, the league's different. You're playing under Mourinho, it's more pressure, and I understand that. But I always liked him, and this tournament kind of
too, right?
and this tournament kind of just showed who he is, really.
Some reports are coming out that
He's going back to.
He wants to come back to Juventus. I don't know if that's true, but apparently there's a bit of a rift with Jose Mourinho, and I can see that. Mourinho's not exactly the easiest guy to get along with. A lot of players
He's not a
voice their
Mourinho type
opinion.
player.
He's not. No, he can't play under Mourinho. There's only certain players that can, and that adapt to his particular play style. I mean, even we even saw Ronaldo that couldn't even adapt with Jose Mourinho. I mean, Mourinho left Kaká on the bench when he was manager at Real Madrid.
Yeah.
That was very questionable.
Casillas.
Hurt my soul.
Casillas, they didn't get along with him. A lot of things.
Mourinho's
not the easiest guy.
Mourinho asks a lot of his players. That's why I don't think a lot of players don't like playing for him. Is he expects perfection, and I don't think a lot of people really know that. It's just, I guess, because I watched him like from Porto and all these years or whatnot. But Mourinho's a coach where you either have to give 150% or else you're not playing for him, because he calls himself the special one, and he likes perfection, and that's what he expects. He wants perfection, and I guess some players don't adapt to that style of coaching.
I think that's why that Inter team that he won with the Champions League with thrived under him, because
Yes.
all the like, I hate to say it obviously, but all those players thrived under him. You know what I mean? They all had the best year of their careers, basically, maybe except for legends like Zanetti or Cambiaso. But even
That's just
can
with
be
age,
said
though.
like that could have been their best season.
Yeah.
You know,
But even with the experience
winning
of
the
that Inter
treble,
team,
like
I mean,
winning
he
the treble
made-
for an Italy team is unheard of.
he made Diego Milito a clinical finisher.
Yeah.
And before that, Diego Milito was not considered a clinical finisher. He was just considered a guy that was a striker that would just pressure and maybe score 15 goals for you within a season that, remember, at the time, Inter had to complete with an AC Milan, who were really good at the time. Juventus were still rebuilding.
Yeah.
Lazio were still quality. Roma were still competing.
But it was Milan. It was the Milan
balanced.
derby, and it was great.
Exactly.
Because Milan did win the Scudetto the next year. But no, yeah, that team was incredible to watch, and it made Goran Pandev a Serie A legend. And
Wesley Sneijder as well.
Wesley
really
Sneijder.
had a breakout year
We could
that
go
year
down the
and
whole list, you know.
Went with the
Julio
Netherlands to the
Cesar.
World Cup final.
Yeah, it was incredible. But yeah, getting back to the game, love France for their win. Sucks to be Croatia. Like, you got to feel for them. But
Yeah, you definitely do.
You would. I think I would rather be at the Croatian party at Zagreb than in France, because they look like they're having much more fun.
I don't know, man. The love they have for Conte is unreal, man.
I love that song. It's actually the catchiest song.
I wish I could speak French.
Mais on sait tous c'est un tricheur, N'Golo Kanté. N'Golo Kanté, ba-la-la-la-la. N'Golo Kanté, ba-la-la-la-la. Il est parti, il a sauvé Léo Messi. Mais on sait tous c'est un tricheur, N'Golo Kanté. Ouais!
What a song.
You gotta love it, man.
And
He was
claim
so
he's a-
shy, man.
He's so
he did
cute.
not want.
Like,
Yeah, he's a
so
nice
cute,
guy.
man. He's such
And
a cutie pie.
They claim that all the French players claim that he's a cheater in a card game, so we don't know anything about that. So we'll have to see if that comes into fruition.
And we don't know if
in light
it's
of the
true
media.
that Nzonzi actually had to tell the French players to let him hold the World Cup on the field because he's too shy to ask. But that would probably fit into
Yeah.
his personality
that
perfectly.
fits in
you know what I
100%
mean?
his personality. He
so
doesn't like
so
the attention.
selfless. He doesn't want the limelight. He doesn't but he does everything like a team needs. He puts in amazing defensive work and just springs the counterattack so perfectly.
I mean,
It's
he was the
amazing.
key why Leicester City won the Premier League that year.
100%.
The year that they won it unexpectedly. And I mean, he's a young guy, and so is all of France. I mean, France are the youngest squad to win the World Cup since Brazil in 1970. Brazil's average age at the time was 25 years and 5 days, and France's average age is 26 years and 10 days. So they're the young group that, I mean, hey, if they got the job done, they got the job done. And why are you two mumbling to each other?
In
I
6
have
years,
no idea.
6 years, in 6 years, Conte has gone from playing French League 2 to winning the EPL twice, the FA Cup, EPL Player of the Year, and now a World Cup winner. It's crazy. What have I done in 6 years?
Just
Well, we
bother us.
graduated. Hang on, we graduated.
Been
That's
bothering
it.
And
us.
bother us, yeah.
Okay, so now third place game. Lukaku, my guy.
Oh, Lord. Here we go again.
Did you see the breakaway that he missed?
I didn't watch.
Or not a breakaway, but he had I'm not sure which English defender it was. He had a one-on-one, and he tried to do a couple step overs.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
It just didn't work.
And
One of his first touches.
It
on
was
one
a
of the
ball
plays
through,
was
I
bad.
think, from De Bruyne or Hazard,
Yeah.
and he tried to touch it forward, but he put too much on it, and it just went to
Oh
It went to
my
Pickford.
God.
Yeah, here's a
What
beautiful gift
donkey,
for you.
What a donkey.
people
They
loving
me-
your donkey call, eh?
I immediately texted in the group chat just the trash emoji. Apple's gotta come up with the donkey emoji already for me. It needs to happen. Why don't they have it?
Because that's a little bit too much. I don't know why you would want a complete meme about that. That's complete ridicule. Come on, you can't do that.
For him, I just want to mention quickly. For him to win the Bronze Ball Award, I don't understand it. The
Yeah.
explanation on
blame you.
FIFA,
I don't understand
the
it.
explanation on FIFA.com, you can go look, is he scored 2 goals in the opening round match for Belgium and scored 1 in their second game.
Yeah, that's not.
Although
enough.
he struggled in the knockout rounds. Struggle? He struggled? That's the word they're gonna use?
That's what we give to a winner.
He struggled.
That's not very
he
good.
did not struggle.
Look, if anyone who probably deserved the
He
bronze,
showed who he is.
if
Watch out for your headphone.
Yeah,
buddy.
my headphone just came out of my ear, fell down. But if anyone deserves a bronze ball award, I mean, we can come up with a bunch of names.
Oh my God,
Mandzukic,
there's
so many
100
people ahead
and
players
of him.
Mandzukic
before
for
him.
me
That's-
actually could have won something
that's
just because of hardy work, like
disgusting.
we talked about before.
How are they gonna put Lukaku over Conte?
Yeah.
Or Conte? Yeah, Conte could have won the bronze
What?
ball award.
Pogba, like
Pogba, there's so
Griezmann,
many
like-
guys, so many guys.
Oh my God,
One of the things I want to
Lukaku,
touch on
Dio
is
Santo.
when Lukaku came off the field and Hazard fell into the striker role. Belgium opened up the run of play so well. It looked like they were a different team.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, they were faster. They communicated better. They used their 3 in the back, 5 in the midfield, 2 up front to perfection. They worked out so much better.
Yeah.
And look, you can maybe make the argument that if that happened against France, they probably would have had a better chance at tying the game because obviously you'd have to have switched the formations and substitute Lukaku.
Take off Lukaku, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
you
big-
would have
that's
had
the
to
big
change
one.
that.
That's the
Not
major.
starting him, obviously that wouldn't have happened. So we can't go back before the game and say you wouldn't have started. No, that would not have happened. But to substitute and change things around, I mean, again, high risk can be high reward. And Belgium were the much better team. Look, England didn't even show up. They
Yeah,
barely
that's
showed
fair,
up.
yeah.
They didn't want. It looked like they didn't even want to be there. And as much as that could be wrongly said, especially because we can't tap into the
that's
minds
what we
of all
said
the players.
before, right? That England
Yeah, it
probably
looked like
wouldn't be the ones.
Probably wouldn't be there, and we were right with
But, like,
the prediction.
Who really wants to play that match?
That's tough.
Right?
It's a
Because
tough
like
match.
you were 1 win away from being in the World Cup final, and now you're playing on a Saturday instead of a Sunday, and you're playing a match that you get a 3rd place medal.
Well, wouldn't you want to
Right?
leave with a medal? To
Of
say
course.
that you've left
Yeah,
with a
of
medal in a
course.
World
'Cause
Cup,
even
and you've
back home in
accomplished
Belgium,
something.
even back home in Belgium, they
They
had a
partied.
They had a
huge.
party.
Eden
they had a
Hazard
festa.
Eden Hazard was DJing at one point in the middle of Brussels.
I never knew that was his personality, but
Well,
he's
in
wild.
Belgium, they come up with a
Yeah.
lot of DJs.
Yeah,
They have
that's true, fair
Tomorrowland, the
enough.
biggest EDM festival of every year in Boom, Belgium, that holds over 200,000 people.
Yeah.
It's massive.
But it was Mounier who I stated that he said Belgium, it's a minimum that they finish 3rd, and fitting enough, he was the one that opened the scoring for them.
Yeah.
And on a great play,
Beautiful,
I found too.
yeah.
Yeah,
Beautiful goal.
right at the beginning of the game,
Yeah,
and it kind
very
of
nice
killed
play.
the game off right there. I think England didn't want any part of this match. It looked like,
They set the tone, and we spoke of the loss about Mounier.
and Hazard
the
was incredible.
semifinal.
Hazard was incredible for me.
Yeah.
He's been incredible all tournament.
Incredible.
in my opinion.
If
He just
Belgium
showed up in
made the
every game.
final, I think Eden Hazard would have won the Golden Ball. Because
If
on
they had
an
won the
average,
final or made the final.
if Belgium made the final.
Okay.
Not necessarily win because Modric won the Golden Ball. Croatia didn't win.
Yeah, but
I
I
say
think
that
Modric
because-
was better than
Yeah.
Hazard. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I say
same.
Hazard because you can make the argument. I mean, we're not discrediting Modric by any stretch.
No.
But you can make the argument that Eden Hazard could have won it because he had an average match rating of 8.53. It was the highest in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
He did everything for Belgium, much like Modric did everything for Croatia.
If only he had
And
a
we're
top
gonna-
class
We're going
striker.
to define We're going to define players that do everything for their team, not continuously critique this one guy you can't stop for 5 minutes. We can't avoid this conversation.
Anytime we talk about Belgium now, he's
I'm
getting brought up.
Immediately
It's like
eliminating that part of the
It's like you're in
conversation.
a relationship, a love-hate relationship. Or
There's no love. There's no love.
I think there is a little bit deep down, but you just
A
don't
little
want to
bit.
admit it.
Oh my
It's
God.
one of those things that you don't want to admit because you look phony. Like,
No,
come on, man. Like, come on, get it together. Let's go, get it together.
I love him like I love doing the laundry, and my mom knows how much I don't like doing laundry, but I still do it because I love that woman. But you know, Lukaku.
Look, anyways, so England didn't play the long ball game. They didn't resort to it, which they did last game, which, I mean, that defined their game against Croatia.
Yeah.
It defined the Croatian critique following the match. 41 long balls from England throughout the entire game. And, look, 15 shots on target for England, 6 hit the net, 12 shots with 4 on target for Belgium, and, of course, you have 2 goals. So I guess it depends upon your quality of chances more so than the quantity of
It's
your
about being
opportunities.
clinical, right? And
Finishing.
Hazard's finish was beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's
Something
how
I'm used to.
it was convincing. He hit that ball with conviction and wanted it to go into the net. He just didn't pass it into the net. He hit that hard. And that's when you watch Eden Hazard play for Chelsea, usually that's the way he finishes. Of course, you're going to have a few goals that went in that you didn't even like. I mean, we've probably scored some goals that you're not even happy with because of the way that it went in.
You're always happy when you score goals, as long as they go in.
So now that England didn't win third and they finished fourth, can it still be looked at for you as a success?
You can because of again, we can go back to Southgate and the vision that he provided for the country with, I mean, the political turmoil with Theresa May and the cabinet and Brexit and the relationship with the European Union. I mean, it gave country hope. It gave the country something to look forward to. Like Nelson always said, you're looking at the Euro now, and it looks good for England. You're now a competitive team with a marquee man up front. You have some hope with some young players that can provide you with a good system in place that you actually have a shot at doing something. And when can we say that England had a good system in place? Despite that they had David Beckham as you're ripping paper and putting your gum in there while I'm trying to tell something to the people. But, okay.
I don't want to chew gum on.
But if we go back to that 06 England team, I think that was probably the best team that they've had on paper. Again, all the stars and all the egos and everything that came with it didn't work. It didn't. There was no chemistry between those guys, and now you have a team that wants to play with each other. I mean, hard work over the names. And it's a success for a country that hasn't felt like this in a little while. So it's good for them.
Yeah, I think it's a success as well, like what Rob was saying. They came into the tournament not expecting much, and they made it to a semifinal of the World Cup. Obviously, when you lose that game, it becomes a disappointment. But, you know, when you look on social media, a lot of the fans are happy and are looking forward. And from English fans, you didn't really see that in the past, I'm going to say decades.
Yeah.
You know, whenever they come into the tournament, it was always a disappointment. And,
So you don't feel this game was important to them at all in that aspect of being a success or anything?
I don't think so, because like I said before, right, this tournament was supposed to be a way for them to grow for the Euro, which, you know, now teams are also not going to take you as lightly as I guess maybe some teams were.
Yeah,
This
you got
one,
a bit of
because
a target now, right?
You have a bit of a target on your back, but you know, you came here, you did great, and you know, sure, you didn't show up to the third place game, but how can you really blame them, right? Because you were one win away from, you know, a couple minutes away from actually just being in the World Cup final, but then, you know, things happen. But you got to look at it as a success.
Exactly. Now, we'll move on to the awards. Mbappe won Best Young Player. Pogba won it in the last World Cup. Modric with the Golden Ball. Harry Kane with the Golden Boot. And Thibaut Courtois with the Golden Glove. And then we know Eden Hazard won the Silver Ball and the Bronze Ball went to Lukaku. Okay.
Yep.
So those are the
What happened?
awards. I'm laughing at you.
What happened?
You can't take us away from this conversation. People are going to hear us, and we're going to sound
Give me
like,
the team of the tournament.
like
Let's go.
weirdos. Anyways, okay. So here's my team of the tournament. So we know. Actually, no. Hold on. Let's start with the actual team of the tournament that was placed.
Yeah.
So let's look at that, and then we can critique and convince us. So Lloris was the goalie. Trippier, right back. Varane and Lovren as their central defenders. Ashley Young at left back. Paulinho and Modric In the defensive midfield, Hazard, Griezmann, Neymar. Attacking midfield, Mbappe is your sole forward. That was the team that was chosen.
Bunch of surprises.
What do we think about that?
That's not a strong team in the tournament. Like, to have Neymar and Paulinho. Like, Neymar's a great player. He had a decent tournament, not what everyone expected, but doesn't deserve to be there. Paulinho, definitely not.
Yeah, I don't agree with those two either.
Lovren, I still don't think, even
No.
Yeah.
though.
There's
Ashley
better
Young,
defenders.
no.
Ashley Young, no. Lloris, no. I'm sorry.
Nah.
Thibaut Courtois just won the Golden Glove, and you put Lloris
Yeah,
as your,
that's the part that
your
doesn't-
team of the tournament. That makes no sense.
I agree with Lloris being there, but it doesn't make sense the way the awards panned out. You know what I mean?
Maybe they wanted to put him in there to give him some, accolation for what he did and a reward for winning the World Cup, I guess. And
Yeah.
might as well give Courtois the Golden Gloves.
Yeah.
I guess
That's
so.
the only-
Maybe
that's the
that
only-
was the thinking mentality.
That's the only reason. That's the only thing I'm.
I
trying to
just
see
don't
if
understand
maybe
how
they did it.
Paulinho even gets in there. Is this
Paulinho-
only based on match rating? But even then, like, there's no way Paulinho.
If it's based on match rating, then I
Rated
can
higher than
understand because
Pogba
Neymar
or
had a very
Conte.
good match rating every game, despite his antics.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, so
Ah.
let's hear yours.
Where are we going with mine first?
Yeah, buddy.
go
All right,
first, yeah.
let's go with mine first.
Go with
Courtois in net for me. I agree with Trippier. I liked him for this tournament. Varane at center back. Yuri Mina as my other center back from Colombia. Marcelo as my left back. Defensive midfield, Modric and Pogba for me. The attacking midfielders, Hazard, Griezmann, Mbappe. My front sole forward, Mandzukic.
Okay. Yuri Mina, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I mean,
Yes.
he scored goals
Yeah,
for
no, definitely. He
Colombia,
was
one of
huge for
the
them.
He was
best
the-
defenders
yeah,
of the tournament
yeah.
for at least attacking wise. And I think he deserves a bit of credit within this World Cup, despite
Well-
Colombia losing on penalties.
Why Mandzukic as your front?
Hard worker and a striker, and he would always put himself in the right position if he was on my team. And I like the way he plays, even though he's gritty and you can honestly pick anything else with the description of how he plays and whatever you don't like or like. I like him as a forward.
What's your? Because you have Courtois as well as your starting goalie, right?
Yeah, I have Courtois.
What
as well.
are your cases for Courtois as starting as Golden Glove, I guess, as well?
His performance against Brazil made the tournament. You face an onslaught from a team that is so offensive, free-flowing football. We know how the Brazilians play. And you make incredible saves to bail your team out all the time. And although you didn't keep a clean sheet, I mean, you still deserve a lot of credit, and your notoriety definitely raises to the next level to keep your team ahead. That's what a good goalie does. And that's what I thought De Gea was going to do at the beginning of the tournament. He didn't even show up.
Yeah, biggest disappointment, I think.
I just think he was stable throughout the whole tournament, even against France, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
played
Like
very well.
there was at one point where France just kept coming at them, and he was stable, and he's, for me, a reason why they were kept in it as long as they were kept in. And for me, I know it normally goes to the team that wins the tournament. The goalie wins the Golden Gloves, but I think Courtois deserves it.
Yeah, so let's hear your team.
Okay, I have Courtois in net. I also have Trippier and Varane, but then I put Umtiti and Pavard.
I like the way you said that.
I butchered it.
The French name is not
It's
going
okay.
to go into the good record books.
Nope.
Okay.
I had to.
That was a joke, and then it just stuck in my head. Then
Oh,
I have
God.
Modric and Pogba.
Who's
Just
your left back, sorry? Or who's your
Pavard.
Pavard, okay.
I just thought, I know he's a right back,
No, no,
but
it
I
doesn't
put him in the
matter,
back.
yeah. I have
'cause-
three
Yeah,
center
don't worry.
backs.
We don't have to stick with the position.
Then I have Modric and Pogba. Then I have Hazard, Griezmann, Rakitic, and then Mbappe up front.
Oh, it's interesting that you have
Rakitic?
Rakitic as your
Okay.
attacking midfielder.
I just have him in.
I would have
mid-
thought that Modric
I have
would
him
be
as
your attacking
midfield.
midfielder. Oh, okay.
I just have him at midfield.
Okay.
That's on your
FIFA
left
11.
wing. No. Oh, okay.
That's not. This is mine.
I'm sorry, I can't.
You want me to tell you them again?
No, I was just looking at your left. Who's your left mid? Okay, Pogba, you have play. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Okay, Devon,
You have-
who's yours?
You have questions with anything?
Yeah, why Umtiti? He scored the goal. Yeah, I get it. He scored that goal.
Him and
to send
Varane
them
were
through.
solid the whole time at the back, right?
Fair
And
enough.
I was about to pick Mina actually as well, but I just felt like if he made it that far, at least give him some.
And Pavard,
Some
that's
accolade.
another.
Yo, he was stable as right back for me one of the most stable right backs in the tournament compared, along with Trippier.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he should have also made, FIFA 11.
Okay.
I don't really understand Young.
I don't get that one.
Yeah, he didn't do much for me in the
didn't.
tournament.
No, for me he was. There was one game he got subbed off against not Belgium, Croatia,
Okay.
right? And for me, he just wasn't playing that well.
It wasn't up to quality.
Yeah.
All right, Devon, what's yours?
I got Hugo, just because they won, right? They won the tournament. Best goalie on the best team. He had the mistake in the finals, but he saved France a bunch of times through the knockout rounds. And I always agree with, if you win and you're the goalie, that's it. You're Golden Glove for me. Trippier right back. I think we can all agree on that one, obviously. I think he was outstanding. And I have Varane and Godin, and then Maguire as well. So I got 3 center backs there. Godin carried Uruguay at the back and provided a goal for them as well. And just solid for Uruguay. I don't think they would have reached anywhere close to where they were without him. And Maguire, I think he was a real standout for England. Can you agree with that?
Of course.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And he brought some
made
great.
a name for himself a bit, I think, because a lot of people are unaware of him. Like, he plays at Leicester, right? But who still watches Leicester football anymore? Sorry.
And he's got some great memes.
I don't want to offend anybody.
Some great memes coming from Maguire.
Yeah, he does.
So you gotta give him some love too.
In the middle, I got N'Golo, Kante, Luka Modric, Pogba, and Perisic. I think Perisic.
Yeah.
Perisic had a great tournament.
Yeah,
Great
especially the knockout rounds there in the semifinals, and then he scored in the finals as well. And it was a great goal in the finals, I thought,
Yes,
too.
yes.
Oh, yeah, that was
Six-
a rocket.
He has 6 goals in the last 12 games in international tournaments. Perisic.
There you go. And I think he was
He comes to
incredible.
play.
I think both him and Rebic were great, but I think Perisic
Perisic just for me was better.
was better, the better player. And then up top, I have Mbappe and Hazard.
Yeah.
I think that's quite self-explanatory, as we talked about earlier.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
2 of the best players in the tournament. Golden Ball, I agree with it. Modric. I don't it's hard to make a case
it's hard to
against
go
him,
against
and he's the strict. Sorry, I can't speak.
Even though I went against it before, but I made the case if Belgium made the final, it could have been different. But yeah,
He's
Belgium didn't make the final, so it deservedly goes to Modric.
He's the 6th straight player that has not won the World Cup to win the Golden Ball.
Yeah, Lionel Messi won it in 2014.
Yeah, so Golden Ball for him. Young player, Mbappe. Completely agree. I don't think
with that,
there's anyone even close.
So you said that Hugo Lloris would be your Golden Glove.
100%.
Why?
Why?
He won the tournament,
Is that all?
and he was outstanding. You can't agree that he was outstanding.
No, of
this
course.
whole
I'm not going.
tournament.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
no,
of
I'm going
course.
against it.
He
That.
was
I just wanted to know your reasoning
No,
behind it. That's all.
like, for me, the number one thing is you won the tournament. You know what I mean? Once you win that, you're automatically first in line in my eyes. And he didn't have, he had the mistake. It didn't cost them. The game was already over, I think, at that point. And in the knockout rounds, he was incredible. In the group stages, he was great. He kept clean sheets. And there you go. That's my reasoning. I don't have to explain myself to y'all.
Nope. Why?
I don't know.
Of course you have to explain yourself.
Silver ball for me. Hazard won it originally. I think N'Golo Kante deserves it. But Hazard, I don't have a problem.
I
don't have a
Hazard
problem.
The silver ball, Conte probably the bronze.
Fair enough. I don't for me, there's not much of a difference there. I do have Conte a little bit ahead, just because, again, France did win the tournament, and he was incredible. Obviously he got subbed off in the final, but getting there is half the battle, right? And he did still have he didn't have the best game in the finals, I find, but he was battling that stomach bug. So
He fought through.
there's a little asterisk beside there.
Yeah, but the rest of the tournament, he was
Incredible,
on fire.
right? Yeah, incredible.
So, got to give him some slack. Just
Now,
'cause-
I have a question for the both of you. Prior to this tournament, you probably had opinions about great players, much like myself. After the tournament now, does your opinions on some players that you thought would have made a great impact within this tournament change?
Just trying to think about who did you have in mind?
Okay, I'll tell you mine then.
Okay.
Neymar. And it's
his
disappointing.
antics.
And yeah, absolutely. His antics garnered more attention within the media than his talents on the field. And that says something.
No, that's
that
a fair
shows
point.
how much character you have as a person and what you're willing to do for your country is to act like a complete baboon. You want to call Lukaku a donkey? That's cool, man. I'm gonna call Neymar a baboon. The way you're acting is actually ridiculous. It's absurd. Why would you do that? I have no respect for Neymar as a player anymore. I don't. This is what you're made out of. Is you're diving and you're rolling around and you're doing this? Really? On the world stage. You're representing a country that's won the tournament 5 times. You're representing a nation that is relying on you because 2014 ended so badly.
Yeah.
He got hurt.
He got hurt, fractured vertebrae. Then Thiago Silva couldn't even play the semifinal, and you were embarrassed against Germany.
Yep.
You had to recover and play and really lead your team. And the best player for me for that Brazilian team was
But at least
Coutinho.
that team made the semifinal, right?
At least they did, but Neymar was so much better in that tournament.
Yeah,
Neymar wasn't
for
diving
sure,
as
for sure.
much. He still dove. I mean,
Well, that's
we
what
can
he is,
advocate
right?
that a lot of
Yeah.
soccer players do. That's fine. In Brazil, you poke the guy and they fly.
That's what
It's
I was
a
gonna
stop
say.
and start league.
That's what I was
the
gonna
way
say,
that
yeah.
it is.
Sorry, Rob.
No,
for
it's okay.
interrupting, but that's
No,
what I was
go,
gonna say. He's known for that type of stuff, right? Especially coming from Brazil, that's the type of soccer that you play, right? You always gotta try to win, and you do a little antics or whatnot. And even in Barcelona, he was always full of antics as well too, right?
Yep.
So I'm
I'm
not really
disagreeing with
surprised,
that.
but I see where you're coming from, and yeah, he's a bit of a disappointment. But you thought he would have scored more goals, and I had him winning the golden boot. Sorry.
Both,
So-
maybe. I had him for both,
Right. So I guess in that case, yeah, he was a disappointment.
Anybody else?
Anyone else that comes to mind that maybe when we saw them? I mean, we can say David De Gea as well.
Yeah.
To a degree, because
No,
you can't blame.
not even to a degree.
Yes, because you can't solely blame the goalkeeper for everything that happens to you.
He only made one save in the World Cup, though, right?
That's the other thing.
And
he
he
was
left,
a goalie that Real Madrid were chasing for the past 2, maybe 3
Or-
And
transfer
now they
seasons, right?
completely changed the scope
now-
and are going after Courtois.
Yeah, it's great, and that's why I'm in year 11, right? He played a great tournament, and they were chasing either Alisson or Courtois, and now Alisson's going to Liverpool for 75 million euros.
yeah, it's rumored, yeah.
Insane for a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And for me,
That's
he wasn't
not
that
Neuer.
great. He wasn't great for
Well,
in
I
my
know you
opinion.
don't. I know you never liked him.
I did not like him during
Speaking
this
of
World
Neuer,
Cup.
can you blame Neuer a little bit for what happened? Considering that he just came back from this year-long injury, he enters the German national team. They exit in the group stage.
But the coach makes that decision, right?
Correct.
He's the one who picks the goalie, so I don't think you can really.
I'm with
too
you.
much.
You
the
can't
whole
blame
team
Neuer.
was disappointed.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about
Yeah.
disappointment,
Yeah.
That was
it was
the biggest
disappointing.
disappointment.
The most
Yeah.
disappointing team in this tournament, I think we can agree, was Germany.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's no debate.
Surprise team?
Obviously, Croatia.
Croatia, yeah.
Again, that's
Yeah,
no
that's
debate.
the obvious answer. But I mean, you have to ask that. Let's put a little list for ourselves here. So we have disappointing team, surprising team.
Mhm.
Who was the team that was hardest to play against? In all of your opinions.
The hardest to play against.
It's gonna have to be the World Cup winner. Nobody was able to
Yeah,
bring them
that-
down.
That's the obvious choice.
That's the
right?
obvious choice.
But
It's
Like, I mean,
France.
but it is a fair point. I
you
think
don't want
France
it.
would be the hardest to play against. They only lost the lead for 9 minutes.
That's what.
You can't go against a team that only lost the lead for 9 minutes. And everyone was so frustrated and hating the way that France played the entire tournament,
Mm-hmm.
and they were not afraid to say it to
sounds
the media.
familiar.
So they
yeah,
hated the way that
why
they
not?
played. So I guess it
You
was the
say
hardest
Portugal
to play
one
against.
more time.
You got to stop this.
You it just sounds so familiar, and no one's, cramping up their style for winning.
Okay, well, I could argue for Croatia as well because
Three
I
extra
think
times, and nobody beat them.
like that's insane. That's unheard of. You
Didn't
know what I
break them
mean?
down.
And they still, I think, played the better. Like
They outplayed France.
you could say they outplayed them, but who won, right?
won?
But they had a great game against France. There's no denying that. And they were harsh to lose off of 2 questionable decisions, we'll say. And they really looked strong this whole tournament, like from day one. You know what I mean? And we were talking about it this whole time. Like as soon as they started gaining momentum and more momentum, it's like this team just came together overnight. And they looked like a powerhouse nation and made it almost impossible to beat.
Yeah.
I think Russia were also there for tough teams to play against.
Yeah.
Well, you have the home crowd right
The
behind
home
them.
crowd
right?
was, of course,
Don't-
being the host nation and doing what they did. I mean, I didn't expect them to go that far.
Not even close.
And they ended up beating Spain on penalties. And you can imagine Spain were probably extremely frustrated trying to play this Russian team that mentally you think that they would have dominated. Same thing with, well, not the same thing with Croatia, but Croatia, again, had to take them to penalties. to
Well,
win
like,
the game.
you guys never said. Did you agree with the whole list of players, like the young player, golden ball, silver ball, all that? Do you agree with that?
I'm
at all?
cool with it.
I
Yeah,
had
I
most
agree with it.
of it the same, except for silver ball.
Who'd you have?
Conte.
Conte
you
as
gotta
well,
give
right?
him some credit, and then Hazard would probably be the bronze
Bronze.
ball.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, it's the opposite.
You would put Hazard.
I still agree with Hazard being the silver ball, best match rating in the tournament.
It's sad to see this World Cup end,
Yeah.
though.
It was so
well,
weird.
we're gonna have to wait till
It went by
2026 till
so
64
quick,
teams
man.
now enter the tournament. I'm pretty sure that
I think so. Yeah.
they're now
And the next
making the
World,
tournament longer. The next one is
in
going to be
November.
interesting because in Qatar they got to play in the winter.
Yeah, I think we'll get into that next episode.
Yeah, and
We'll
how
talk
the
about
leagues
that, yeah.
are now. You're gonna have to stop the league. So what does that do for the domestic leagues for every single team?
And
Are,
that-
are they going to keep going? I mean,
that-
surely they have to.
that in my
Not everyone's
opinion,
going to be in the World
is
Cup.
not-
Save it. You guys are getting ahead of yourself. Relax.
Well, we got to give a little
We're
teaser
still- we're
trailer.
still-
You give a teaser trailer before you showcase the movie.
I'm still sad that this one is ending.
Hey, you gotta move on to the next one
No.
already, though, man. Unfortunately,
No, this one was so good. This is
It
probably
was-
one of the best World Cups of all time
this was probably the best World Cup that I can remember
in my lifetime.
in my lifetime. Yeah.
Other than 2006 for biased reasons.
Yeah,
but,
that's biased reasons.
um,
Well, you continue to go to this Portugal Euros, we have to go back.
but no, all joking aside, this was like an incredible tournament.
Most entertaining, I think, is probably
Yeah.
the right
Yeah.
word.
You know what?
We
Even
saw-
the
we saw
2014
everything.
one, I liked it a lot. I thought it was a great tournament as well.
I hated that one.
They had so many goals. It was so entertaining.
This
mean,
one for me was just. way
But this
better.
one had everything in it. It had the drama. It had the VRA.
VRA?
The VAR
Is that your new
use.
company?
The VAR usage. You
Yeah,
saw
it was
an
up
underdog climb all the way to the top almost, and it's sad to see it go. But 2 years we got a Euro at least.
Yeah.
I'm looking
That's
forward to
The
gonna be
league
this.
exciting.
isn't
Yeah.
the League of Nations starting in a couple weeks in September.
Yeah, so we gotta
That's
a lot
another
of
one
look
that we
forward
can
Portugal,
to.
Italy.
The football doesn't stop,
Never
No,
does.
Not at all.
Never will.
and still got all of transfer season. It's almost
Oh, we have so many
halfway
things
done
to talk
so
about
far.
next week.
Oh yeah.
So next
Yeah.
week we talk about transfers. We're going to talk about the leagues. The leagues are coming up. They're starting soon.
The ones that
Yeah.
will be
Less than a
covering.
month. We have our all like a lot of domestic leagues in Spain and
2022
England
World
and-
Cup, as we spoke about a
Sorry,
little
we
bit.
can touch on the 2022 World Cup. Our thoughts about that. We'll cover transfer rumors for you. We'll cover everything that we think is going to happen within each domestic league, and we'll keep you updated. And of course, we'll keep you updated on our own domestic news. I mean, we'll keep you updated with Toronto FC. We'll keep you updated on Alphonso Davies being a prime prospect for possibly Bayern Munich, and this is a Canadian kid that can potentially turn into a superstar that we have never seen. And ahead of the 2026 World Cup, I think that's something that we need to
Big
showcase
news.
within our country.
Big news.
So thank you for listening to 12 Yards Out. Once again, I'm Robert Bellardi, alongside Devon Imrie and Nelson Santo, and our technical producer is Matthew Stevens. Go in and follow our Instagram account, 12 Yards Out, for all the latest stories of transfer news that is going around the soccer world today. We thank you and have a great day, guys.